Hey Ms. Dewey, this is Noah. As you can probably already tell, and this is my video project on volleyball. I'll be explaining the general basics of volleyball, 4 skills needed to play volleyball, and after each explanation of a skill, you'll also see a video demonstration of the skill being performed correctly. Alright, so volleyball is basically a game of usually 6 players on a team, and the object of the game is to win, as any other game, but you must score usually 21 points and win by 2 in some leagues. It can either be played on the beach, or in the court, or outside, anywhere really there's a net and a flat surface where your players can dive and run and play successfully without being injured. They're both men and women's leagues, it doesn't really matter who's playing. A lot of people play for recreation, some people play professionally, but everyone enjoys volleyball sometime in their life. Alright, so the first skill needed to play volleyball successfully is the serve. The serve is what starts the game, so it's what happens first in the game. The serve is when a player lofts the ball into the air and hits it either underhand or overhand into the opposing court. It doesn't matter where you hit it, it just matters that you get it over the net and onto the other player's court. You can also, it does not matter if you hit the net and it goes over into the other court, that's still legal. Now the serve, there's many different serves, but the most common one is throwing the ball up into the air and then hitting it overhand, as it generates more power than the underhand and is generally harder to hit back than a high, slow underhand serve, which is usually used for beginners just learning the basics of volleyball. Alright, now you will see a video demonstration of the serve being performed correctly.
Hey, this is Johnny Neely, volleyball coach here in Salt Lake City. I'm going to talk to you about how to serve a volleyball. For those who are just beginning, learning how to serve, a lot of times servers will utilize the underhand serve. Server will hold the ball in their non-dominant hand out in front of their body. They'll create a fist with their other hand. A lot of times a player will try to hit the ball on their palm, nice flat spot on their hand, dropping the ball slightly before contact is made. For those who can serve overhand, the proper technique to serve overhand, a player will hold the ball in one hand, again their non-dominant hand, out in front of them. This is all part of the ready position. Similar to hitting, a server wants to make a bow and arrow. Toss the ball 2 to 3 feet high out in front of their body. As the server steps and swings through, they contact the ball with the hard, strong surface of their hand right here to try to create a float serve. Server will get in the ready position. Float serve should look something like this. There are a couple other types of serves that I want to touch on briefly. One is a jump float serve. A jump float serve, a server will utilize a 4-step approach. The whole time they're keeping the net square to their body. A right-handed server is going to take a step with their right, a step with their left. They're going to toss with 2 hands, elbows bent to help control the accuracy of the toss. After the ball is tossed, they'll step again with their right and their left foot, jump and contact the ball, try to float serve. It'll look something like this. Last serve I want to talk about is a top spin serve or a jump serve. Again, the server will make a 4-step approach. Generally, a server will need about 15 or 20 feet to effectively utilize this serve. Server will take 4 steps, with the first coming at the same time as the toss. Server will step, toss, and finish with left, right, left. This approach is really similar to a hitter who would be spiking a volleyball. A top spin serve or a jump spin serve should look like this. Again, this is Johnny Neely, volleyball coach here in Salt Lake City, talking to you about how to serve a volleyball.
The next skill needed to play volleyball is called the dig, or sometimes referred to the forearm pass, but is most commonly referred to as the bump. The bump is used to control the ball when the opposing team hits the ball back in your court. It is usually used to set up a spike, or usually used to set up a player for another type of hit, but generally it is used to set up a spike so you can score more effectively. Now you'll see a video demonstration of the dig, forearm pass, or the bump. All the same thing.
Hello, this is Keith on behalf of Expert Village. In this clip, we're going to be looking at how to pass a volleyball. Passing is usually the first touch of 3 contacts on a side. It can also be called an underhand pass or a bump. To be in a ready position to accept the pass, you want to keep your arms apart, your knees bent, your feet about shoulder width apart, your weight slightly forward, and one foot just slightly in front of the other. As you move toward the ball, you want to bring your hands together. So you're keeping your hands open until you get closer to the ball. This way you can run and get to the ball and you don't waste time. It can be really awkward to run to the ball with your hands together. It'll make you a lot slower, and you can be much faster if you keep your arms apart while you run. And when you bring your hands together, you want to do one of two things. You want to use the cup method or the ball in hand method. And the cup method is when you basically cup your hand and put it inside the other one. And the ball in hand, you ball your right hand if you're right-handed, and you cup your other hand around the ball. And in both of these methods, you want to make sure that you line up your thumbs and you keep a flat platform on your arms. It's very important that you keep this platform flat because it'll allow you to be way more accurate in your passing. If one of your arms is above the other, the chances are it's going to hit one arm and bounce off at a strange angle. But if it hits both of your arms at the same time, it's flat, you can be much more accurate and where you want to place the ball. A common misconception when you're passing is that you swing your arms up, but this is not the case. Almost all your power is coming from your legs. You get low as soon as you need to pass the ball, and you let your legs spring you up, holding your platform straight the whole time. Your arms will be moving, but not because you're swinging them, it's because you're raising them up through your legs, and this will give you enough power to reach your target. If you can't get to the ball in time to square up towards your target, you can still pass the ball, but in this case we're going to have to keep our arms out to the side. And this you still want to make sure that you're not swinging your arms. You want to use your body to rotate and hit the ball, keeping your arms locked out in front of you, and the power is going to come from your hip rotation. When you're passing to the setter, your target is always going to be just over head level of the setter.
The next skill needed after the serve and the bump is the set. Now the set is usually used by players that are setting up a spike or after a bump to further set up a better play before the spike to make scoring more effective. The set usually uses 2 hands and the ball is hit high up into the air but still remaining on your court so the other team cannot spike it, and is effective in setting up scoring points and is a necessary skill for any team to win any kind of game. You will now see a video demonstration of the set being used successfully in a game situation.
Hey, this is Johnny Neely, volleyball coach here in Salt Lake City. I'm going to talk to you about how to set a volleyball. First thing we need to be concerned about is the shape that we make with our hands. We want to make a shape with our hands that looks just like a ball. So if the ball were to be put in your hands, that's the shape that your hands should look like. As a setter, or when you set the ball, you want to make sure that you're setting the ball right above your forehead so that if the ball came through your hands, it would hit you on the head. Setter should take the ball about right here, right above their head. Finally, a setter needs to worry about after they set the ball, they need to push through and extend, almost like they're flying like Superman. Extend those arms, legs, body, and finish square to your target. I want to show you a few live sets. There we have a few sets where I focus on my shape, where I'm taking the ball on my forehead, pushing through, and finishing square to my target. This is Johnny Neely, volleyball coach here in Salt Lake City. We just talked about how to set a volleyball.
Alright, the fourth skill needed to play volleyball is, the most important in my opinion, is the spike. The spike is usually the thing teams use to score, and is usually the most effective way to score. It is when a player either uses a bump or a set or combination of both to set up a player for the spike. A spike is when the ball is high up in the air and the player jumps and hits the ball overhand, generating maximum speed and power and slamming it into the other opposition's court. Now, one must be careful when using a spike, as it can easily be blocked by a player that sees it coming, so you must hit it in the right spot of the court or at a weak player. Generally, if a spike is blocked, it just rolls back onto their court and generally does not give a great opportunity for the other team to hit it back. So even though spike generates a lot of power, you must also be accurate at where you place the spike, and a great deal of strategy must be used so you don't end up shooting yourself in the foot. Alright, now you'll see a video demonstration of the spike being used in a game situation.
Hey, this is Johnny Neely, volleyball coach here in Salt Lake City. I'm going to talk to you about how to spike a volleyball. First thing a hitter needs to be concerned about when they hit a volleyball is their footwork. They need to make sure that they're making the right footwork so that they can hit the ball the same every single time. There are a couple different types of footwork in volleyball. There's a 3-step and 4-step approach. I just want to discuss the most basic, which is a 4-step approach. When a hitter makes a 4-step approach, a right-handed hitter takes their first step with their right foot, followed by their left foot. Then their last 2 steps goes right-left. Your steps get quicker as you go, and the steps get bigger as you go. So a 4-step approach should look something like this. Right, left, right, left. The second thing a hitter needs to be worried about as they're taking their approach is what to do with their arms. So as a hitter's taking their approach, they need to make sure that their arms swing back right before they jump to maximize the optimal jumping ability of that particular player. When the players take their steps of their approach, the first 2 steps, they don't need to be doing anything with their arms. They can have their arms straight down by their side. As they're taking their 3rd and 4th step, the arms need to be coming back. And on the 4th, the arms explode through as the player jumps. The arms should look something like this. The third thing a player needs to be worried about as they're taking their approach is what to do with their arms. A lot of times we like to tell players to make their arms look like a bow and arrow. When a player makes a bow and arrow, we like to make sure that they have their offhand or their left hand for a right-handed hitter reach as high as they can, which again optimizes the amount of torque that the body can get. It's a good guide hand for your right hand as you're swinging through. So the bow and arrow, as you get up to take your approach, should look a little bit like this. The last thing a hitter needs to be worried about when they swing and hit the ball is where to place the ball. The hitter can do a few things when they spike the volleyball. A lot of times a player will hit line, which is where they make their bow and arrow. You swing and you hit straight in front of your body or right down the line. Another thing a player can do is make their bow and arrow and hit cross court, which means they're cutting the ball away from their body. This is Johnny Neely, volleyball coach here in Salt Lake City. I just talked to you about how to spike a volleyball.
Alright, Ms. Dewey, that's my video project on the basics of volleyball. I discussed the general mechanics of volleyball, gave 4 skills, and then video demonstrations on how to perform those skills in a game. I hope I spent a great deal of time on this, and I hope that I was successful at you thinking that I did a good job. Hope you enjoy watching. Alright, see you in class sometime.